Radio, Raheem here with Frank Warren. We're in Montreal, Quebec, man. It's freezing cold outside, but the Yuletide cheer is among us. We're close to Christmas. Everything's going well, I'm assuming. How do you find in the side of the pond what's going on in Frank Warren's world right now?
I love it. Well, in my world, we're very, very busy. We're out here obviously for Billy Joe Saunders, who's defending his title against David Lemieux. It's a good fight on Saturday, so we're here for that press conference this morning. And I'll come out. We've got your Christmas tree here and see if you've got a present for me underneath it, but I can't find it anywhere.
Well, I would imagine Billy Joe Saunders wins this fight and gets Triple G or Canelo before they get each other. That'd be a hell of a Christmas present for you.
That would be brilliant if we could do that. Of course it would. That would be fantastic. But if not, the winner in September.
That's what you're expecting. Have you had these kind of conversations ahead of time? Because, you know, Triple G Canelo is still not officially made yet. I'm wondering if they're laying out, trying to pull some shenanigans for the 5th.
I've got no idea. You know, obviously they're discussing that in the moment. And to be quite honest, as much as we all want that fight, I'm focused, and Bill, more importantly, is focused on Saturday's fight because he's got a tough fight. He's in David Lemieux's backyard. It's not going to be an easy job. David's a good. He starts well in fights. He's tough. He's a banger. He's a good puncher. But I think Bill's in a really good place at the moment. You know, not just that he's got physically well with his new trainer, but more importantly, mentally, he's right on the money. So I'm hoping that's going to translate into a great performance on Saturday, and then he can sit back and see what happens between the two big guys.
Well, I guess you're quite right, not looking too far down the line. I've been on the road, so I had to watch the DeGale fight on the computer during my travels. But we spoke before that fight. I think it was a surprise to everybody that DeGale didn't get the job done. On the night, were you surprised at his performance, and how do you think it came out the way that it did?
I don't know where I mean, he looked really, you know, going not the fight itself, but going into the fight mentally, he was really there. Physically, he was well. I asked him how his shoulder was. He said it responded well after his operation in training. But on the night, I don't think he just didn't get into the fight. He just couldn't get going, and I think he spent too much time on the ropes and allowed a guy who basically looks good coming forward make him look better than he was. I'm not being disrespectful either to Caleb. You know, he did what he had to do, come to the other guy's backyard and won. But I think that the tactics were wrong, and had he got the tactics, he got taken the centre of the ring, if he'd used his jab more and backed him up, I think it may have been a different result. That's how I was expecting the fight to turn out, but just didn't happen. And things like that happen in boxing. You know, James was a big favourite. Maybe he took it for granted. Maybe we all took that fight as going to be for granted, and maybe also, you know, he came back a little bit too soon after the operation. I'm not sure. He's got a busted nose, so that's got to set. I understand that there is a rematch clause in the contract. Richard Schaefer and Al Heyman advised me of that, so that's where we are.
It's a new relationship. It's a rocky start. This is your first fight back together. Where do you, I mean, the question has to be asked, and obviously you're saying there's a rematch clause, so that makes the most sense. So you just want to get him back in there with the guy. And if the shoulder injury or something is an issue, is it something you want to jump right into? Are we looking at an immediate rematch?
I don't know. I mean, you know, he needs a bit of time out. It was a tough fight for him. As I say, he's got a broken nose, so that's going to take a while to set. And then obviously James has got to have a serious think about what he wants to do in the future, and whatever he wants to do, you know, discuss that with his manager Al Heyman, and then we'll sit down and hopefully see if we can work on something together. If he decides he wants to move forward, he might turn around and say he don't want to box again. Who knows? That's going to be his choice.
I know a tough loss like that has fighters in a strange mental place right after the fight, but has he mentioned anything like that? Do you get a sense that maybe he could be done? I
haven't spoken to him since the fight, not managed to get hold of him, so I don't know where he's at. I'm sure at the moment he's licking his wounds. I'm sure he's quite, you know, quite down, but he's got to lift himself up, and you know that happens. That's what happens in boxing. You know, there's no, you know, there's no foregone conclusion. If there weren't, it's that old adage, isn't it? If there weren't such a word as upset, it wouldn't be in the dictionary, and it's there, and there was an upset on the night, and there we go. But now, you know, the sign of good fighters and true fighters who want to continue in the sport is to pull your socks up, get back in there, and try and win your titles back.
I'll tell you somebody who seems to be done licking his wounds finally is Tyson Fury. And the day we spoke, I called out the fact that he hadn't been around and we missed him, and I put it on you to bring him back. Within 24 hours, he was back on social media. I credit myself and you with having done that. I don't know how true it is, but I'm taking credit.
I've never heard of him again.
Well, exactly. Well, look, it's even rumored that he might be here for Fight Week, right? He's going to turn up. Where's he at? What's his mental state? Like, where are we in the return of Tyson Fury as far as Frank Warren's concerned?
He will be here. He's coming out as our guest, and he will be here, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. He's got one part of his comebacks, getting his licence back, is done. The next thing is he's got to go before the British Boxing Board of Control, and they will question him on other issues, but I'm quite sure they can be dealt with, and then he can get himself back into the ring. Now, whether he wants to be licensed by the Board of Control or not is or fight under another jurisdiction, he'll decide that. But the fact of the matter, if he fights in the UK, it becomes under the board's jurisdiction. So just get all those cleared up. Focus then on 2018 and the guy who's a linear champion who never lost his belts in the ring. I'm quite sure he'll want to get them all back again.
I see him in the gym. As you said, these proceedings are underway. I've read that he missed a hearing. Are you counseling him through this process? Like, it seems like, I mean, he's a grown man, he's a champion, all these things, but you might need somebody there to kind of guide him through and make sure he gets to the other end of this kind of transition. Are you there for him? Do you know how he's managing to get through this stuff?
I spoke to him a couple of days ago. He's doing what he's got to do. He's a grown man. He's not a baby. He's intelligent. He's a very intelligent guy. When when you sit down one-on-one with him, he's no schmuck. He knows what he wants, and he'll make his decision as to what way he's going to go, I think, fairly quickly. But I'm pleased he's out here. He's supporting his big pals with Billy, so he's out here for that. He's doing some commentary on for BT whilst he's here. That's the broadcaster in England. So it's just time. Everything with these things are time. And as I say, Tyson for me is the best heavyweight out there. It's a great shame what happened. I mean, I'm quite sure it could have been dealt with much easier and much better than it was done. But the fact of the matter is, that's all in the past. Positive in the future. Get in the ring, show everybody what you got, and win your titles back.
As a promoter, it's always your job to be looking at the future and taking care of the present. It looks like your future in the heavyweight boxing division might be Dubois. This guy, he may be the fight of the night on the DeGale card, right? Like, he put on a spectacular performance. Everybody's hyped on him. He's very young heavyweight. What's your measure of how long it might take him to get in the main events and even challenge for some of these titles?
Well, I don't think he's far off fighting for a British title, and I'm looking next year, but certainly by the end of the year, he's there or thereabouts. I want to keep him busy. He's only a baby. He's only just turned 20. But he's very poised. He's very composed. He's got a good brain on him. He's got fast hands. Got a great jab. The old Larry Holmes always said, if you can't jab, you can't fight, and he was the best heavyweight jabber I've seen in the business. And Daniel's really, he's got it all to do. He's got everything there. I think he's the most exciting heavyweight I've ever been involved with at this stage of his career, and I've been involved with nearly all the top guys from Britain and some of the Americans, and I just really do rate him. I rate him highly, and he'll do well. And another guy on the card was Anthony Yarde, who came through a very good test and did what he had to do. We've got two. They're the two probably top prospects in the UK, most spoken about at the moment. But we've got some really good young fighters, as I mentioned in our previous interview. Some really good youngsters coming through, and they're all going to make their mark next year. Well,
we know that Anthony Joshua, had the Olympics extensive amateur career, but he moved pretty quickly as a heavyweight in the professional ranks. Where do you measure Daniel Dubois against him, and how long do you think before he's at a level when he could compete with an Anthony Joshua? Is he at that level?
He's not at that level yet. If I said to him he's fighting Anthony Joshua tomorrow, he'd just show up. That's his mentality. But having said that, of course he's not at that level yet. Anthony Joshua fought in the World Amateur Championships. He went to Azerbaijan and he lost in a final in a very debatable decision. I thought he won it, and he won the Olympic gold medal. So that's great experience, and you're fighting at a very high level, obviously, before you turn pro. He's 28 years of age. My kid's 20 years of age. He's a baby, so he only had 7 senior amateur bouts. So he's got a bit to go from that point of view, but his ambition is to win the world title or be fighting for a world title, become the youngest ever heavyweight to win a world title in his 21st year. So that's what he's looking to do, and if he's ready to go, that's not a problem with me. My job is to ensure that it's done at the right moment and find, boxing is all about timing. Good punches, always a great timing. Making the right matches is all about timing. And as far as I'm concerned, he's still got some stuff. He's still got, we don't know what he's going to be like when he gets into 12 rounds at the moment. He got, right. His chin. He gets been caught on the chin in sparring. I know all that, but when it comes to the real deal, when you're in the ring, they're all things we're going to find out, and we're going to find out over the next year. I hope not too soon, but we're going to find out. And eventually, I'm quite confident he will go all the way because he's, mentally, he's there mentally. He lives boxing. He's not sidetracked. He's not a boozer. He's not a gambler. He doesn't mess around. He's pure boxing. You only got to look at him. He looks like he trains every day of his life, which is what he does.
We thought we were going to have a pure boxing, scientific matchup, the greatest of chess pugilism, just a couple weeks ago in DeGale and Lomachenko. Before I get into Carl Frampton, which is where I'm going with this, because everybody wanted DeGale to fight Frampton, or Frampton fight DeGale, whatever it was. And now that we've seen this performance, how did you take it? What did you think of that fight and the performance by both fighters?
I thought Lomachenko broke his heart. Simple as that. I'm a big fan of Lomachenko from day one. As an amateur, he's a fantastic amateur. I think he had about 400 odd bouts and only lost like 3, I think, or something like that. And as a professional, for a guy in his second bout to go in, and it was his second bout, wasn't it, for a world title? Yeah. And a very debatable decision. And since then, he's gone up a couple of weights and won other titles. And what's he into now? His 10th fight. For me, I think on this, this so-called pound-for-pound list, whatever that is, I think he is the best fighter in the world. Absolutely. I've loved him from day one. I think he's a great fighter. When you look at him, the shots he finds angles, he's on you, he can box you, he can hurt you. He's just a great fighter to watch. And I thought with Rigondeaux, I think that what I thought was going to happen, and I thought he may just be out, because he's quite elusive, he's a smart guy, he's a double Olympic champion, the same thing. I thought he made it a bit more difficult, but he just caught him out, and it wasn't the fight we all expected, but he totally dominated it, and at the end of the day, broke the guy's heart.
Well, the first guy that can go in there, other than, I guess, Salido, at this stage and have some success against Lomachenko, is probably got a rocket ship to stardom. Carl Frampton is in that weight, mix. If you can't do, Santa Cruz, which seems like is making it a difficult fight, especially if you insist on having it in Belfast, well, can we possibly see Frampton in this lottery?
He may do down the road, but his next few fights are mapped out. We look like we're hopefully going to announce next week Josh Warrington and Selby, which is a big fight in the UK, Lee Selby and Josh Warrington. And the winner of that, we want to go to Belfast and put that on with Carl Frampton. So that's where we're at.
Does all of Carl Frampton's fight have to be in Belfast going forward?
Of course they don't. He may go and if Josh Warrington wins, he might go and fight him in Leeds. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, they're the fights for the British fans. They're big domestic bust-ups. And let's find out who's the best Brit. And once we know the best Brit is, we'll see if he can beat the best whoever else is around. And Lomachenko, I will say, is a tough fight for anybody.
Radio Raheem with Frank Warren. We're here in Montreal, Quebec. It's a pleasure to talk to you, sir. You got a lot of things cooking for 2018. Look forward to seeing those cards. Radio Raheem with Frank Warren.